physician referral, call 866-654-2362. To learn more about the Palm Beach Health Network Physician Group, visit pbhnphysiciangroup.com. pbhnphysiciangroup.com to get in touch with the Palm Beach Health Network Physician Group.
Theo here. EDS is yes. You've heard me say that over and over. So I need you to keep this website in mind too. EDSisyes.com. For the most trusted AC specialist here in Palm Beach County, EDSisyes.com. For 24/7 support, EDS is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. There are so many reasons why EDS is yes. When it comes to your air conditioning and plumbing, EDSisyes.com. That's EDSisyes.com.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen for the accident attorneys, Anajar and Levine. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Did you get injured on the job? Workers' comp problems? My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine, they will fight for you. Remember, they do not get paid unless you get paid. And they will fight to get you the maximum compensation you know you deserve. Here's what you do. You just call. Call Anajar and Levine for your absolutely free consultation. Do not settle for just any attorneys. Demand Anajar and Levine and demand the Anajar and Levine difference. It takes just one phone call to begin to take back control of your life. So do that. Take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Anajar and Levine, accident attorneys, take back control of your life.
Time now for a PNC pause. PNC Bank is committed to helping the customers and the communities they serve move forward financially. See how they can make a difference for you at PNC.com.
At the Home Depot, we know Saturdays are for college football. That's why we have everything you need to never miss a play. Like North America's #1 home fire safety brand, Kidda. Because on a day full of football sounds you love, like fight song, roaring crowds, and your favorite commentators.
Like me, Kirk Street.
The last sound you want to hear is... Defend your game time with Kidda and the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Based on total household installations as of December 2023.
FX's The Old Man is back.
My daughter has been kidnapped.
Academy Award winner Jeff Bridges.
Things are about to get serious.
Black holes. Golden Globe winner John Lithgow.
Things have changed. Everyone is vulnerable.
I will make it back.
Amy Brenneman.
It's scary, this weapon that I've been given.
I won't see it coming.
FX's The Old Man. All new Thursdays on FX. Stream on Hulu.
ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week, presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Every week, a different team will be featured across ESPN 1063 and ESPN West Palm Play. The winning performance receives $500, courtesy of Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Do you know a team, player, or school with a killer performance? Nominate them by emailing highschool@espnwestpalm.com. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
Hey, it's your boy JC. Tua says he has no plans to retire, but is he telling the whole truth? He is not. I'll explain why on today's Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Subscribe now, exclusively on YouTube. Brand new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen on YouTube.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Ball into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy!
Light him up, Colin!
If 3 weeks ago I would have said that we would have come out of week 2 of the NFL season with Pittsburgh undefeated, Minnesota undefeated, and New Orleans undefeated, I would have called you a crazy person. Here we are. It's Russo and Rizzo live here, episode 10. Double digits now. No longer in the single digits of our shows. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Damian Perez once again helping us out behind the glass. ESPN 106.3 at the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. NFL Week 2, at least this Sunday, has came and went. Of course, you got Phillies Falcons tonight. We'll give our thoughts on that later in the show. I think the theme that we have to open with, unfortunately, is what we saw on the 1 o'clock slate in Jacksonville.
Where?
They named the stadium, it's normally Everbank Field. Did you know that they renamed it just for the week, for promotional purposes, whatever you want to call it, Trevor Bank Field? Trevor Bank Field for their home opener. It was their home opener. Jacksonville loses that one 18-13 against the Browns. Pains me to say that. I know Mike's happy right now, so I'm gonna give it to him in a second. Here's my problem. First of all, Mike, how you doing? How was your weekend?
Great, brother. It was a lot of fun. We had fun on Saturday. We were together watching some college football. Had a good time watching an NFL Sunday. Obviously, a Browns win. I think ugly game on both sides. See, I'll let you continue here, but great weekend, partner.
Browns had 13 penalties for 100 yards. The Browns were 2 of 14 on third down. 13 penalties, 2 of 14 on third down. On the road, they won. Losers lose. That is the theme. That is what Jacksonville is. That is what has personified their entire franchise. And that is what they do. Losers find a way to lose. I think Jacksonville, I don't think they were by any means in the driver's seat at any point in that game. But the Browns were shooting themselves in the foot outside of the first quarter and a half, shooting themselves in the foot just as much as the Browns were. But losers lose. Whether it's head coach, quarterback, whatever you want to call it, losers lose. That's what Jacksonville did yesterday.
I thought we were in trouble after the Brian Thomas Jr. big catch. I remember I was.
You thought that tide was changing a little bit?
Yeah, I really did. After that catch, I go, oh, God, because, Kyle, let's be honest, before that, you didn't do anything offensively.
Nothing.
And the entire game, I'm going, all right, man, even if Watson and the Browns offense don't do much but run the football and try to burn some clock, the defense isn't going to give up any points. So right when that Brian Thomas Jr. catch happened, I'm like, all right, hold them to 3. And you score a touchdown. And then it goes, all right, got to get a couple of first downs. Browns offense goes 3 and out. Texted my buddies. I said, boys, we are officially in trouble. We are officially in trouble. But, Kyle, I know it was pouring down rain and whatever. I wasn't necessarily too impressed with the game plan by the Jags. I said this last week. The lack of downfield throws by Doug Peterson and the offensive coordinator, what's his name? You can't stand him. The offensive coordinator.
Taylor.
You can't stand him. I questioned the game plan a little bit by the Jags. Now, I know everyone had their fun with the Browns, and Deshaun Watson's got some crazy more allegations against him. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Browns' defense showing out in that first half, doing what they needed to do at the end of the game. I told you too, Kyle. I thought it turned into a ref show. Bad calls on both sides. The Browns were a part of some lousy penalties. Kyle, I agree with you in the sense of I don't think it was roughing the passer on Watson that set us up on one of our scoring drives. No. I thought the game was dominated a little bit too heavy by the referees at the end of the game, but it was a big game for both of those teams. I am ecstatic to be able to pull out that victory. My heart's out there for you, Colin, and I wish that we figured out some sort of bet because
now you do.
Now I do, right? Now I do.
That's a waste of time.
But
you said no to 1,000 different bet penalties.
I wish that we could have figured out some sort of bet heading in for that week. We'll see if this thing can continue throughout the rest of the year. But, Kyle, I don't think things get easier for the Jags either.
It's one of the worst coached teams, worst ran organizations in professional sports. The Texans are showing you, just in that division, the Texans are showing you what it takes to rebuild a roster, reload the coaching staff, play with energy, passion, and to elevate yourself into contention. That's how fast it could happen. Take a look at the Texans. That's how fast it could happen.
Now, the Texans have done a lot, though, in building around Stroud, I think. Not that the Jags haven't. You got Christian Kirk.
Of course.
You got Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Etienne.
But the Texans were lucky with the idea of having the two early first-round picks. They could get Will Anderson as well.
And I think DeMeco Ryans, I know the Silver Foxes, I call him Doug Peterson. He's got a Super Bowl, pretty good head coach. But for some reason, DeMeco Ryans is getting more out of his team than the Silver Fox.
Peterson's a dead man walking in that building. There's no chance. No chance. I'd give him to week 7. If he survives. So here's the problem. I can't believe I'm going to plug this, but Colin Cowherd said last week that I don't need to plug his show. It's like plugging Jimmy Kimmel. Colin Cowherd said last week that being a part of a trapped relationship is sometimes worse than knowing the relationship is failing and you're looking elsewhere. Whether it's a marriage, whether it's being involved in a job that you can't get out of, whether it's this or that. That is sometimes that claustrophobia attached to it is worse, even if the relationship's not as bad as the other one. It's in a lot of ways worse being trapped than it is knowing that you're going out and everything's going to come in flames, but at least you could try something different after that. Jacksonville has now locked themselves down with a 5-year contract for Lawrence. Signed 2 months ago.
But do you think it's a product of the situation?
There's only so many things I could say about it being the wrong situation. I understand what you're saying. Because look at Mayfield. Mayfield's the prime example.
Right.
Sometimes Darnold. Sometimes you just need to put them in a position to win, and I get that. But listen, Lawrence does good things, but he also does terrible things. Oh, Lawrence throws the best ball you've ever seen one play, and then the next 3, he's sailing it or taking 2 sacks or fumbling.
But if that's who he is, I feel like you got to keep doing that. Too many times in that game, I know it was pouring down rain, but too many times in that game, I didn't see enough chances taken by that Jacksonville team. Christian Kirk, good wide receiver.
100% agree.
Brian Thomas Jr., good wide receiver. I would have liked to see ETN more involved in the pass game if I were a Jags fan as well. I think the Cleveland defense is the best in that division, arguably the best in football, but there are ways to attack it. I was not impressed with the game plan by Jacksonville. I was pretty impressed with the game plan by my Brownies. Just keep the ball on the ground. Don't try to do too much with Watson. I thought Watson made some pretty good throws. I thought Watson towards the goal line on a couple of our scoring drives.
First half, he had a couple of really, really impressive plays. Right. And then second half, he was here and there.
A couple of throws on the run. Now, I'm waxing poetically about the Cleveland defense. I got to give credit to Jacksonville in that second half.
2 for 14 on third down.
Yeah, I got to give credit to the Jags and what they were able to do in that second half. That's why I'm just so surprised in the sense of Jacksonville not taking more shots in this game. Maybe it was weather. Maybe it was a couple of outside factors. The Silver Fox being afraid to let loose in wet conditions.
The NFL has passed him. The rest of the league has caught up and lapped him, in my opinion.
So
I think you're seeing it.
1-5 to end last year, correct?
They have lost
1-5 to end last year. You were 8-3 Monday Night Football,
and the only game they've won was that Carolina the last week of the year.
So now you're 1-7 in your last 8 games under Doug Peterson.
Trevor Lawrence has not won a start since Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So at a certain point, circling back to a trapped relationship, I've never once in the time that Lawrence has been there questioned whether he was the one. And now I have finally reached that point. The same problems happen, whether it's coaching, whether it's him, mistakes, penalties, taking sacks. This is year 4. In terms of progression, and how about this? Jacksonville is, for 4 or 5 years more, has always been the epitome of the worst coach team in the NFL. It's always them. It's always them.
Well, Doug Peterson came in and changed that narrative.
They had 1 year, that 2022 year, where they started poorly, won 7 straight to finish the year, won a playoff game.
Right.
They were down 27-0 against the Chargers. Great game, whatever. They played well against the Chiefs.
Can I quickly interject? Staley was the coach for that Charger team as well.
True.
So take that with a grain of salt, I feel like. But agree to disagree with me, Kyle. I think Doug Peterson made that job and that organization respectable, bar it be a short amount of time.
You would call them respectable?
He won a playoff game. They got that kind of off their back in a sense of,
they won a playoff game in 2017.
They did, and Blake Bortles, that run was pretty good with that defense. I understand that. But I feel like Doug Peterson kind of changed the narrative a little bit. If you don't want I always say this, if you don't want Peterson, give me a name. Give me someone you would like to go after, because you can't fire him at this point of the year, Kyle.
You know
Do you agree with me there?
Oh, of course. But he's not going to survive he's not going to make it to Thanksgiving at this point. At this
really?
Pace. No. You want to call a couple names? This is not college. College, you're very hit or miss on who you're going to replace. That's a little different. NFL, oh my God, pick up somebody from Shanahan's tree. I swear to God, every year they got another passing game coordinator that comes out of nowhere and joins the team.
One?
Please.
Clint Kubiak.
The Saints. It's the greatest show on turf. I don't understand. Go pick up an offensive guy. And McDaniel's one thing. Don't pick up somebody there. Pick up somebody from Shanahan. Somebody with the winning gene. Unbelievable. And listen, I'm frustrated. So bear with me. But it's always the Jets. Always. They are pathetic. Lawrence has 16 passing yards in the first half. 16. Pretty sure Watson had that in his first play.
It's a good Browns defense, though. Tough conditions.
16 yards?
Tough.
What do you mean tough? There's no tough condition. Tough conditions does not constitute 16 first half yards. You know this. Come on.
Damian, tough conditions, man.
I mean, the Jags were playing in Trevor Banks Stadium. They were at home.
The stadium was named after him.
Whose idea was that, by the way?
I don't know. And they asked Peterson about it on Friday, and Peterson's like, I like Everbank Stadium. So clearly there's a disconnect with the head coach and the quarterback.
Well, I also, both quarterbacks a bit inaccurate.
A bit, yeah.
Lawrence 14 of 30, Watson 22 of 34. Watson was pretty bad in that second half. The whole Browns offense was bad in that second half. I think you can point to the conditions, but I understand 16 yards is 16 yards in that first half. But
no, it's always something.
I think the Browns, I think they wanted it more. I really do. I think in that first half,
agree.
I think in that first half they came out with, we're going to smack them in the mouth. We're going to try to run the football. 125 yards on the ground on 30 carries for the Browns, 21 carries, 127 for Jacksonville. So both teams were able to run the ball. Was it more or less about timely plays? The Browns could have had an intercept.
It's inept coaching on one side. Stefanski's a good coach. He's a good coach.
I like Stefanski.
And Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator.
I told you that numerous times.
And Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but we were on our heels in that second half, though. I told you right after Brian Thomas made that catch and they scored, I damn near called the game over. You guys had all the momentum. We couldn't do anything offensively.
Jacksonville had that ball with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go on their own 4, and Lawrence immediately takes a sack. And for a safety, I swear to God, I almost threw my TV out the window. Unbelievable. But see, now this is part of the
That's a tough play. You can't do that. You can't do that. You cannot do that.
Let's be smarter.
I like Lawrence a lot. I'm trying to defend Lawrence right now, but you cannot do that.
You think there's 15? You think he cracks the top 12 quarterbacks in the league? No. You think he cracks the top 15?
I mean, yeah. Dude.
Would you take Derek Carr over him right now?
No.
Would you take Baker Mayfield over him right now?
Yes. Sadly. Hurts me to say that as a Brown fan.
Okay. Would you take, we don't have
We're
to go
talking
through
about right now. Like right now, clearly Lawrence isn't playing up to that contract.
Yeah, I would input Baker in that offense tomorrow.
Like if we're talking right now, yeah, I'd rather have Derek Carr with Clint Kubiak.
I agree. There's a whole lot of coaching issues, but Lawrence has the same problems that come up all the time. So this is part of what's the theme of the NFL this week. 0-2. 0-2 is not a death sentence, but you're close to death row if you're in the NFL. Here are some statistics. In 2020, actually no, since 1970, since the merger, 40 out of 413 teams who have started 0-2, 40 out of 413 make the postseason. Little above 9%. That's not great. Now, there's a couple of teams that relates to our poll question. The Bengals now 0-2. The Ravens now 0-2. Jacksonville's 0-2. And the Rams are 0-2. It's 3 playoff teams right there.
Yep.
Well, not the, yeah.
Well,
Ravens, not the Bengals.
Ravens, and the Rams. I mean,
yeah, the Rams are 0-2. So here's the problem. Not all of them can make it. Is there a team amongst that, Mike, that will scratch and claw their way to the postseason? And if so, who is it, or multiple?
I think it's Baltimore. I think the correct answer has to be Baltimore because Lamar Jackson's better than that. I could argue John Harbaugh is better than that. You know I can't stand the Ravens. That's our team up there. Baltimore is a bunch of thieves. But they're too good not to make the playoffs. And you look at the division top to bottom. I was trying to make an argument for my Brownies with, a couple of people in the kitchen this morning here at ESPN West Palm. But you look at the division. The Bengals don't look like the Bengals. The Squealers can't score. I think it's hysterical that Steeler fans oh, dude, we're back. No, you're not. No, you're not. You played the
Iowa. They're Iowa.
You played the Denver Broncos. The good news for the Steelers, though, they do have a great defense. TJ Watt,
they have a great defense. And he got a good coach.
They do. He might be a little past it.
Don't disagree.
He's a Hall of Fame head coach. I think Tomlin might be a little past it. It's another conversation for another day. But I think it has to be Baltimore because of what they have, who they are. We'll hear later on in the show, Colin, from John Harbaugh, talking about how, we got to keep our nose to the ground. We're not going to listen to the outside noise. They will be just fine. If I had to pick one, it is the Raptors, the Baltimore Ravens.
You know who is it? You know who is likely out of it in terms of the 0-2 teams that's probably not going to reach the postseason. Number 1, the Jags. But number 2, the Carolina Panthers, who made headlines about an hour or two ago where they decided to bench former first overall pick Bryce Young. I want to get Mike's reaction to that. We want to talk about a whole lot more. Who are contenders? Who are pretenders? We get into that and more next. You listen to Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen for the Accident Attorneys, Anajar and Levine. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Did you get injured on the job? Workers' comp problems? My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine, they will fight for you. Remember, they do not get paid unless you get paid, and they will fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Here's what you do. You just call. Call Anajar and Levine for your absolutely free consultation. Do not settle for just any attorneys. Demand Anajar and Levine, and demand the Anajar and Levine difference. It takes just one phone call to begin to take back control of your life. So do that. Take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Anajar and Levine, Accident Attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Is racking up tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt really worth the 4-year degree? Not a lot of people think so anymore. A recent Wall Street Journal poll found that 56% of us believe that a skills-based education, that's a smarter investment than a 4-year degree. So why waste that time and money when there's an alternative right here in North Palm Beach that teaches the skills that people can actually use in today's world, and you can get those skills in just months, not years. I'm talking about CSB Media Arts Center, the home of Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which provides hands-on training in audio and video production, podcasting, sports broadcasting, social media marketing, filmmaking, coding, and so much more. For over 60 years, CSB has placed thousands of graduates and careers. Take a moment and visit gocsb.com to schedule a tour. That's gocsb.com.
Fins fans.
Russo and Rizzo here, and we're hitting the road and broadcasting live.
Want to meet some of your favorite Miami Dolphins players? Now is your chance.
Palm Beach Autographs invites you to an in-person autograph event on Tuesday, September 17th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the mall in Wellington Green.
Devon A. Chain, Odell Beckham Jr., John O. Smith, and Tyreek Hill are all scheduled to appear. To purchase tickets, visit palmbeachautographs.com or give them a call today.
Hurricane fans, join us Friday night, September 27th at 7:30 p.m. as the Miami Hurricanes take on Virginia Tech in a game with purpose at Hard Rock Stadium. This isn't just any game. It's our breast cancer awareness game. Wear your pink and show your support for a cause that touches us all. Let's pack the stadium, raise awareness, and cheer the Canes to victory. Get your tickets at MiamiHurricanes.com or by calling 1-800-GO-CANES.
I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Andy Dalton's back. Here's a headline I didn't expect to get. Andy Dalton, who is the backup of Carolina, is now expected to start Week 3. Head coach Dave Canales, who they took from Tampa Bay, has announced that Bryce Young, former number 1 overall pick from just a year and a half ago, is officially benched.
What happened to that? What happened to Canales fixing that guy? What happened to him being the quarterback guru and whisperer with Baker Mayfield?
Do you have a problem with it?
I kind of do.
Why?
You're going to go to the Red Rifle? What are you trying to make the playoffs this year? I mean, I don't necessarily understand it. I thought that guy was brought in to fix Bryce Young, and I thought owner Tepper, who shame on me for thinking he would stick to the plan, but I thought owner Tepper was bringing him in to fix his number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. I'm shocked. I can't lie. I'm shocked today that they're going to go to Andy Dalton. That move is like, all right, we got to win some games. And maybe that is coming from ownership. I always tell you, the move to get Deshaun Watson, I don't think was on the general manager, Andrew Berry. I think that came down from up top. I think in a similar scenario here, I think that the Carolina owner, Dave Tepper, told Canales more or less, hey, man, you can move on from this guy.
I don't know if I think it's a Tepper thing because everybody knows that Tepper's a mess and he's a terrible owner. One thing, I'm kind of on the opposite on this. I give Canales credit. I really do.
But wasn't that his job? Wasn't that his job to come in and fix Bryce Young?
Sometimes
we're 2 games in. You already know. You've coached him for 2 games. Oh, he stinks. We're going to go to Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I don't think
that's a bush league move.
I don't think they're burying him. I think if anything, this probably will fix him. He is not seeing the field properly. The offensive line is not as bad as what?
He'll never recover. Bryce Young will never recover from this. He's done.
I disagree. I think this might be exactly what he needs.
The best
comparatively
case,
to what?
No.
He's been the worst quarterback in the National Football League he's 2-13. At what point take him out? Let him sit.
His ceiling just went to Sam Darnold. In a couple of years, hopefully he'll get another chance to be a starter somewhere and to find his footing. That's his ceiling, and his best case scenario just became Sam Darnold.
He's had 11 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. What good does it do him to throw him out there to the Wolves and let him struggle mightily?
What good does it do him to be behind Andy Dalton and then be on the bench and not play?
It's been proven thousands of times that sitting a quarterback does so much more than playing him when he's not ready. Go down the list.
When is he going to be ready? When was it? I mean, that's the argument I'm trying.
This season's lost. This season's lost.
Like,
don't let him play the rest of the year. Don't let him play the rest of the year.
This guy was supposed to fix him. 2 games in, he goes, all right, he sucks. We're going to go to Andy Dalton and try to save face.
How do you know it's a he sucks thing, or more so, I could do you better by you not having to worry about preparing for a team every week, and me and you just worry about what you need to work on. That's my take on this.
This screams Zach Wilson. This screams other failed quarterbacks of ghost pass, which there have been many in the NFL. You completely shot his confidence.
He has no confidence. Let's be
what little
well before he has no confidence.
What little confidence this kid had just went out the door.
He has no confidence to begin with. So let's forget that. And the offensive line's not even doing that bad. He got pressured on four times of 29 dropbacks yesterday. Only 4. It's not like it's Caleb Williams. He's getting pounded every play.
But you get what I'm saying. That Canales was supposed to come in here and fix this kid.
And how do you know this is not doing that? And how do you? Of course, they're not bailing on him. They would have traded him if they're bailing.
I disagree with the whole. You got to do it the Packer way and the Kansas City way.
Well, you know who says
Brady says that.
Brady says that. Brady said that. Brady says it does so much good for a player not to worry about preparing for a team.
Brady, here's the thing. Brady was a 7th round pick, a 6th round pick, right? He wasn't a first overall pick that was thrown to the wolves. So of course he's going to say that. And then everyone looks at the Mahomes.
But he's saying this 25 years after being drafted. He has no.
There are plenty of examples in the NFL when you play someone early, it works out.
Give me 3.
I mean, Justin Herbert.
Okay.
Stroud. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was a mess.
Joe Burrow.
To start his career.
But he played immediately.
He was a mess.
And they didn't bench him for Andy Dalton.
It didn't work out very well for Baker. It didn't work out for Josh Rosen. It didn't work out for Darnold. Well, you go down the list. These guys, sometimes they're not ready. Lawrence was not ready. Wilson was definitely not ready. Nix is not ready.
I'll never come off that tree. I am a fan of playing your first overall draft pick immediately. The sooner you know if he's good or not, the better. I just find
that's what's wrong with the NFL. Why is there no good quarterback play anymore? Because these guys are being thrown in early. Brady says it great because Brady knows what he's talking about with this.
Stroud looks pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, you're right. Stroud's an outlier. Brady says that the offenses are getting dumbed down, which is true because the defense has officially caught up. The touchdown passes are cut in half. The offenses are being dumbed down. The quarterback play is not nearly as good. They're not nearly as available. And I understand we're leaving an era of multiple Hall of Fame quarterbacks playing at the same time. But my point is, these guys were more prepared then than they are now. Why? It's because they're being thrown in when they're not prepared. Coaching carousel is as tight as ever. It's as cutthroat as ever. The quarterback carousel is even worse.
I disagree here, partner. Matt Stafford thrown to the Wolves immediately. Justin Herbert thrown to the Wolves immediately. Say what you want about Kyler Murray. I'm not the biggest Kyler Murray fan. I don't know if he's the answer there. Kyler Murray thrown to the Wolves. C.J. Stroud thrown to the Wolves.
Year 4.
Anthony Richardson thrown to the Wolves.
Richardson didn't last 5 games. What do you mean?
Richardson.
There's no guarantee he's figured out. He didn't last 5 games.
These are quarterbacks, though, who I think have had some success. You're telling me it never works. That's not true. That's just not true. You just look at the whole. I think everyone gets so fascinated.
They waited with
the
Deshaun Watson.
How about
this? What about half the season? They waited with Deshaun Watson. That worked. He comes in and he starts dominating. The idea that Bryce Young is going to be better off by playing with that absolutely remedial football team with terrible ownership, unproven coaching, and a horrible front office who has been gutted of their draft picks because of that Bear trade. Just because that you think you're going to throw him out there, they're going to lose 30-3. He's going to have 4 interceptions, 5 sacks with a 50% completion rating. The idea that that's supposed to help him in the long run is complete nonsense. Nonsense. Sit him.
I disagree.
Why does he need to play right now? He has no confidence. He's not playing well. He's not seeing the field properly. He has to worry about preparing for a team that he's not prepared for. Let him sit. It did Baker well. It did it well. Darnold's figured it out in some capacity.
Baker never sat.
Garoppolo? No, but Baker was backup in 3 different spots after that.
He was backup for a year? And then he came in on Thursday Night Football for the Rams.
And then it turned around his career.
And then Carolina, he immediately started. And then Tampa Bay, he immediately started.
And it turned around his career.
I think Young sitting out, for me, does absolutely nothing for him right now. You tell me.
So why did Mahomes work so well?
Mahomes worked so well because he had Andy freaking Reid, dude.
All right, so Mahomes worked out so well.
That's why.
Why does Love work out? Why does Love work out?
Because he's got a good head coach and he's with the Packers. These are completely different situations. Not everyone is the Packers. Not everyone is Andy Reid. And not everyone is Bill freaking Belichick, dude.
So this is
Lamar
what?
Jackson played in year one just fine.
He sat
Josh
half the
Allen
year. Hold on. He
played
sat
in
half the
one.
year. You're talking about sitting
And
half the
Flacco
year.
sucked, and he should have never sat out the whole year.
So what are we saying here? We're agreeing that sitting has benefited quarterbacks. Quarterbacks themselves say this, Mike. Let's think. You're talking about this from a mic. How about the guys who say it does them better? Rodgers, Brady, the best of the best, say that it does them. Steve Young sat. It does them so much better for their long-term career to sit. Let's think for a second.
Case by case. Case by case.
Those are multiple Hall of Famers right there. You're thinking about Allen played it immediately. It didn't help Allen. He was a mess. He turned the ball over 30 times.
He learned on the job. He did great. I think he's doing pretty good now.
Well, 5 years, 6 years later, he's already
stick with them.
He signed an extension 4 years ago.
Because you stick with them.
They're not not throwing him off the cliff.
For you to completely just throw this you're completely wrong. You have no sense here. That's insane to me.
They would have dropped him. They would have dropped him or traded him if they were giving up on him.
I know you're not a fan of any of these quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You look at any good quarterback in the NFL right now that's not named Patrick Mahomes or Jordan Love, they all played immediately. You look at any good quarterback right now. I know you're dismissing
you mentioned
Allen.
Lamar, didn't happen.
Allen
You mentioned Love,
immediately.
didn't happen. You mentioned Allen. I mean, Allen was a mess.
I argue Lamar falls into playing immediately because they were lying to themselves in Baltimore.
Do you think?
If I could argue, if Lamar played immediately,
why isn't May playing? Drake May.
Because he's not ready. And in my
opinion,
I didn't rate. No.
May's not ready.
I didn't rate Drake May. Drake May wasn't a first-round draft pick to me. I think that guy, he has a better chance of being a backup quarterback his entire life than a starter. I think that says more on how bad the player is.
What tells you that?
Being
overdrafted. You don't know that. What tells you that? You watched UNC?
I watched Carolina last year.
Game?
You bet your ass I did.
Every game?
Not every game.
Oh, please. This is stupid. You haven't even seen May play yet, and you're talking about how he's going to be a perennial backup. Let's be honest. Come on, slow down. What are you talking about? This is ridiculous.
No, it's not. For you to just completely dismiss, dude, if you play me immediately,
here's
they're
what
done.
your problem
That's
is.
ridiculous.
Here's the fallacy in your argument.
Colin,
I'm listening.
Hear my argument. Hear my argument. There are quarterbacks in the NFL who play immediately who have had success.
So let me flip the argument.
And I am saying the outliers, you're talking about some of the, Andy Reid, one of the greatest coaches of all time, the Packers, some of the greatest organization of all time. You don't have time, man. You don't have time to sit these guys sometimes. You got to be good immediately. These guys are coaching for their jobs. These GMs are drafting for their jobs. You got to have these guys play.
So what's the difference?
To completely get angry with me and dismiss this is insane. That's insanity to me.
So let's compare this. You mentioned Lamar Jackson. When was he drafted? 30th overall.
He was the last.
So better
32.
team.
He was the last one.
Better team.
Ozzie Newsome's last pick.
Allen. Drafted in the middle of the first round.
Top 10.
Patrick Mahomes. Even if you want to bring up him, middle of the first round. How about the first overall picks? How have they fared first year?
They've been disastrous.
Lawrence first year was a nightmare. He would have been better off.
Stroud went too.
Stroud went too. To a team that was well prepared, and they're the outlier. I mentioned that earlier in the show. The Texans are the outlier. 2 year how to turn around a franchise. There's your blueprint. That's them. That's a little different. Kyler wasn't great immediately. He was thrown to the fire. They fired their coach.
Playoffs year 2, I believe.
Yeah, 9-0, and then they lost 6 in a row. So, and then they got killed in the first round. I agree. And then they were a mess. So, Kyler, Baker, how did that work out? Won a playoff game year 3. First year was a nightmare.
First year he came in and won a game against the Jets and ended our 0-16 stretch, or 1-31 nightmare.
And it
gave us hope at the end of the year.
And then he dumped him 3 years later. So, what are we talking about here? You're talking about a hit rate. How about a hit rate? This is a first overall player. The Panthers are as bad of a situation as the NFL has ever seen. As bad as the Browns. As bad as the Browns. As the NFL has ever seen. There is no doubt. You're taking this Canales move and him putting in Dalton for hell, we don't even know. A couple of weeks. Take the pressure off of Young right now. He is not playing the way he should be playing. He is not playing with confidence. He's not even seeing the field properly.
They'll be drafted. This move, C. They'll be drafting a quarterback next year. That's what this move tells you.
I don't think so.
They're not going to sit this kid and go, oh, you're ready now. Go ahead and start. They already made their assessment.
It's an outlier. Maybe. This is to say that you're dumping him just because they benched him because he's not playing well?
Yeah, they're done. This move to me means they're all done with Bryce Young. After this year, they'll either move on, draft a quarterback, he'll be a backup. I did not expect this to go this route. I love that it did. I think Canales not wanting to coach this kid and trying to save face and wins. I thought he was brought in here to do the job of fixing Bryce Young. Clearly that wasn't the plan from up top.
Caleb Williams is not ready. Joe Burrow got destroyed his rookie year. Lawrence was a nightmare his rookie year. These are number one overall picks.
Growing pains.
You're talking about different situations. Lamar was drafted to a freaking playoff team.
Manning got beat up his first year too.
A nightmare.
Pains.
A nightmare.
Andy Luck.
And so you're thinking about Luck again. He's a little different. That team was well prepared to take him because they got the Manning injury, and then all of a sudden they were terrible, but was still a pretty decent loss.
You see what I'm saying here? There have been cases where guys that come in play well, and they're able to figure the league out.
So playing him with the worst situation in the league where he's getting absolutely destroyed. There was no better. He's not playing well. The team's not playing well. They're not even coming close to winning. He has no confidence. He's getting destroyed. You see 5, 6, 7 passes a game where you're like, I don't even know what he was doing there. And what tells you that him doing the exact same thing he should be doing and not doing any change is the good thing here? You're saying doing nothing is the right thing. When they haven't done anything. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying benching him right now means that they don't
want
him.
So change nothing.
They're done.
Change nothing.
They're done. But
why change nothing?
The Bryce Young...
tell me that. Change nothing. Why change nothing? What are you going to change?
Canales was brought in there to fix Young.
Okay. A lot of the same so far. So what else can you change?
And 2 games in, he goes, all right, this guy isn't the answer.
Yeah, he didn't say that,
but that's what I think is going on. He knows that he doesn't like Bryce Young. He doesn't like what he saw. And now he's going to Dalton to win some games. He's going to draft his guy coming up next April.
Why did Purdy work out?
Purdy worked out because Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the league.
Purdy's good.
And him and John Lynch have established something there for almost a decade now.
Purdy's good. Like, the hit rate is astronomically higher when you bench a guy and play him later on. The hit rate is so much higher. And just because Young got thrust into it, it didn't work out. Who's to say that you can't do that all over again? Give him the rest of the year. Let him get healthy. Let him start thinking like a quarterback again. He is in his own head like you've never believed. This is a Heisman Trophy winner. He won number 1 overall for a reason, and nobody thought Stroud was better than him. I don't care what the revisionist historians say. Nobody thought Stroud was better than him.
The back channeling suggests elsewise, but I
nobody
agree.
That's
the back channeling.
Everybody thought Young was the number 1 overall pick. Everybody.
Well, the story is that McCown and Frank Reich wanted CJ, and the news came up from Tepper that they wanted the Alabama quarterback.
Who cares? Nobody thought that Stroud was going to be number 1.
So you think Bryce Young is better off getting benched?
Yes, 1,000%.
He'll never
doing what he's doing right now.
He'll never be the Carolina starting quarterback after this year ever again.
And I hate that you bring up Lamar Jackson and players that are drafting in the middle of the first round. It is so much different with the number 1 overall pick. So much different. You were Caleb Williams, we thought would be an outlier. He's still getting destroyed. You think Caleb's stoked about what happened last night? Couldn't complete a pass week 1. And then yesterday he's getting sacked every play.
Takes time. Takes some time.
Sometimes sitting is better. Why do you think Love came in and, after 6 so games, immediate success?
Because it's the Packers, man. It's what they do.
You can't just chalk it off like that.
They had Aaron Rodgers. They had time to let this kid progress and become a quarterback.
And the Panthers don't need him to play right now. Why do the Panthers need him to play right now? Why?
Because they're awful. They need a franchise quarterback. They need someone to turn the tide.
And has that happened? No. So change.
Colin, they don't.
Every quarterback who speaks about this, every quarterback agrees. Every quarterback says the same thing. Preparing week in and week out sometimes is detrimental to your long-term growth as a player because you're worried about preparing for that team and not improving as a player.
You think Young is going to be the quarterback of the future in Carolina.
Whether he's going to be a franchise quarterback or not is one thing. But one thing I think absolutely without a shrivel of doubt is that sitting him is going to do him so much more than playing him right now. That is without a doubt in my mind. That is the worst situation the NFL has seen in a long time for a quarterback to walk in there. You stick Stroud on the Panthers right now, and he's struggling, and they still stink. That is the situation. You put Young on the Texans, I'm sure he sees some success. That's what this type of thing is. This is the theme of today. You change coaches, you change offensive play callers, and your world opens up a little bit. You give yourself a couple weapons, your world opens up. Darnold, Baker. Think about it. You get a couple players here and there. You get protected a little bit by an offensive line. Your world is so much better off. Why throw him in there when he's not throwing the ball well? They're losing every single game, and for whatever reason, he has no confidence. Change is good. Tried the head coach. I give him credit. He had the balls to do it. I give him credit.
They're done with him. We'll see Bryce Young backing up. Let's see. Who'll take him on? Maybe a Shanahan disciple. We'll see Bryce Young with, or similar to the Trey Lance situation, I think. It's what's going to happen with Bryce Young. You're probably going to get a 5th-round pick for Young. He'll go back up somewhere. And as I said, I think his ceiling is Sam Darnold.
Look at this, writing a storybook right here. That was just fiction, all of that. Like, all of it. That just didn't make, whatever. Nonetheless, Russo and Rizzo, we continue live here at ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
What's the Anajar and Levine difference? If you're the victim of a car crash, you will always speak to a lawyer. You'll always get the highest standard of care from our dedicated legal team, and we'll always fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. That's the Anajar and Levine difference. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Don't wait. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
In office, West Palm Beach.
Does your business leave a lasting impression? Attractive, eye-catching signs help you stand out from the crowd and create a strong brand identity. Our team at Signorama West Palm are experts in helping your business get noticed and get effective signage in front of your potential customers. Our team can turn your blank windows or plain vehicles into money-making branding machines by drawing customers' attention to your business. So if you're looking to leave that lasting impression, call us 561-687-7993 or visit signoramawpb.com.
Every morning brings new opportunities. That's why I love McDonald's new limited time breakfast deal. For just $5, I can mix and match 2 of my favorite breakfast sandwiches to make all new flavor combinations. Today, I'm starting my morning with a sausage McMuffin with egg and an Egg McMuffin for just $5. Tomorrow, I may mix it up with 2 Egg McMuffins. So, it's a new day, but the same great 2 for $5 deal. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
The 2 scariest words right now are filling and up. Filling up on gas, terrifying. Filling up on groceries, a nightmare. But with a McDonald's $5 meal deal, filling up on flavor is easy. I can choose between a McDouble or McChicken, plus a 4-piece Chicken McNugget, small fries, and a soft drink. All of this for just $5. I'm filling up with a McDouble and Coke. Have no fear. The McDonald's $5 meal deal is here. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Coca-Cola is a registered trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you can watch every game, every Sunday, all in one place. Which means you can watch the Dolphins, and the Broncos, and the Lions, and the Cowboys, and the Jets. Or whoever you're rooting for, all in your living room. But not literally, of course. That would be dangerous. Watch every game, every Sunday with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Sign up at youtube.com/NFLST. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
At the Home Depot, we know you can't control everything, like when your guests arrive too early for Saturday college football. But you can control your grill. With the Traeger Timberline XL, you can watch the game, not the grill. Monitor your football feast from anywhere using the Traeger app. With the Timberline XL, you can bake, smoke, sear, fry, and saute. That's Desmond Howard-level versatility.
Huddle up. The food's done.
Defend your game time with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Shot, I know you be hearing this and that from here and there, but please trust and believe, little mama. I see you gon' ride from summer down.
Let's get back the Anajar and Levine into Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
All right, tone the energy back a little bit. Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3 on a fine Monday afternoon, post week 2 of the NFL. Yikes. That was something right there, Mike.
It was good. Hey, it's good banter. As I always say, just because you disagree with someone, you can't take it personally. It's just banter.
Of course, I'm not.
It's just banter. Dave Druda came in here and said that was the best segment he ever heard in his entire life in this building. So
let's think. This is some interesting data. I'm gonna have to circle back to this because I have.
Let's do it. Tell me how wrong I am.
7 or less games started as a rookie. Here's the list of the hits in recent years: Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Jared Goff, Jay Cutler, Alex Smith, Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Mike Vick, Drew Brees. The misses in this regard: 7 or less games as a rookie. It's less. Lance, Dwayne Haskins, Paxton Lynch, Johnny Manziel, Jake Locker, Tim Tebow, Jamarcus Russell, Brady Quinn, Jason Campbell, Rex Grossman, Patrick Ramsey, Chad Pennington. So there's a lot of colossal busts there.
Right.
No doubt. Couple Hall of Famers there, too.
I think what playing, and I guess from my perspective, why maybe I think this way, is being a Brown fan and having miserable quarterbacks year in and year out. We've all been just waiting on the savior to come in and save the franchise. It hasn't happened since 99. You thought it was Tim Couch and the 35 other starting quarterbacks it was. And I know Watson has horrific off-the-field issues and all of that, but there was hope, right? When you go out and you trade for a guy like Deshaun Watson, there was hope. For Bear fans right now, what Bear fans are going through. Getting Caleb Williams, getting the number 1 overall pick, the quote-unquote generational talent. Yeah, it sucks. He's learning on the job right now. And it's a bad job, Colin.
Let me ask you this.
It's a bad job right now.
Do you think Browns fans would have rather have kept Mayfield around and suffered through his trials and tribulations until what he is?
Well,
maybe he is ready. Maybe he doesn't get there.
Kyle, what happened there was Baker played hurt, and he said a lot of stupid things to make a lot of people angry within the building and within the fan base. I give credit to Baker Mayfield because he has matured beyond his years in 3 years, 2.5 years not being in Cleveland. I can't tell you how many articles I've read of Tampa Bay fans calling him the greatest teammate ever, and he's always got your back. You grow and you learn. Maybe to your point, C.
You don't think he gets there without this?
That's where I'm at. Maybe to your point, though, to sit behind a quarterback who's done it before, it gives you a chance to mature. It gives you a chance to sit back and take everything as a humble backup. But the biggest point and the biggest argument I was trying to make during that whole thing, these guys play, Colin, because those teams got nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose. They need the hope. They need the hope of playing the number 1 overall pick. They don't have the luxury that the Packers have. They don't have the luxury of having Alex Smith and Andy Reid in year 1 in Patrick Mahomes. They got Jim's, obviously Jim Sorgi was Peyton Manning's backup, but they have like the equivalent quarterback to Jim Sorgi. Like, they're probably the better option, which is why they're playing. In a sense, with the Bears and Williams, or we talked about Caleb Williams, I don't think there was ever a world like Bear fans were telling me in Peoria, Riz, you got to hang on to Justin Fields, play Fields, and then have Williams. You can't have that situation. That would have been a nightmare. Can you imagine if Fields was starting and Williams was on the bench and the distractions that would have came from that and all that? That's where I'm looking at it towards.
It's a little different when you have a quarterback who's trying to figure it out, trying to mentor another quarterback who's trying to figure it out. Dalton is one thing. Dalton has it figured out. Dalton's had a good career, and he's embraced the backup role. He is somebody that you could rely on to some degree to go in there. You don't necessarily have to worry too much about him, because at the very least, he's going to give you a relatively okay floor and a relatively low ceiling. That is what you're going to get. With Young and being you mentioned the hope. There's no hope surrounding that Panther team. There's none. No Panther fan will tell you that there's any scent of hope remaining in that franchise.
So you disagree in my take? Now listen, I understand where you're coming from with the Young stuff. That team is awful. But benching Young right now, I think blows up that whole situation and whole team. And maybe it needs to. That's why I think Bryce Young will never start for the Panthers again, Colin, because it's a new head coach too. Dave Canales, he didn't sign up for Bryce Young. Now, I know the general manager drafts the players, but usually these guys are in cahoots on who they want to coach and who they want. It's not their guy. And benching him week 2 tells me that this isn't going to be the quarterback of the future in Carolina, and he's most likely not going to be there, and they're going to be drafting a quarterback.
Here's my perspective on what Canales is probably thinking. Canales comes in, you're right, he was early. 2 games it took him to bench Young. You think that's because he knew surefire that Young was not the guy and they're going to ditch him and forget about him and bury him and throw him in the ditch? No, because it's only been 2 games. You're right, it's early. So what's the only other possible solution here? That Canales was thinking, okay, he's mightily struggling. What good can I do this guy? Because I don't know anything about him. I've only been here for 6 months. I haven't had a chance to win a game with him. I can't assume that he's not the one because I've only been here with eight quarters. So maybe he's thinking, hey, maybe the best thing for him right now is not necessarily preparing for a new team every week and getting the snot kicked out of them. And him just struggling all over the place. Maybe that's not the best thing for him right now. And because of the fact that it's so early, that's what it tells. That's why I believe it to be that sense. Because he doesn't know anything about the kid yet. Maybe he's like, hey, me and you can sit in the film room and you don't have to worry about preparing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and instead we could worry about fixing your footwork. And let Dalton do that. Let Dalton sit with the offensive coordinator and figure out what the hell they're going to run and lose by 17 instead of 30. So let him figure it out, and you and I can work about how to see the field better.
That's just my gut feeling from seeing similar situations. Seeing similar situations with the Browns and quarterbacks and new regimes coming in, new people coming in and running the team. They want to get their people, they want to get their quarterback, and they want to implement their system. I think Bryce Young is the collateral damage here. Is it right? Probably not. Frank Reich, and if I'm taking for what has been reported face value, and partner, I apologize if you don't believe in this, but what has been reported about this is they didn't even want, the coaching staff that was there before didn't even want Bryce Young. How would you feel walking into that building, knowing in the back of your mind that, hey man, these guys might not even want me, and then throw in the mess that is the team, to your point. The team is a nightmare. You're playing bad. The coach never wanted to coach you in the first place, and then they fire said coach mid-season. And now you bring in a new coach to coach you who's quote-unquote going to fix you. All offseason, we heard how Canales is going to fix Bryce Young. You play awful. And Colin, Mingia, 18 of 26 for 84 yards and an interception. A 6 quarterback rating. I don't think it gets worse than that. I don't think he comes back from this in Carolina. That's why I said his ceiling is someone like Sam Darnold who could possibly, or Baker Mayfield to your point, who could possibly have success elsewhere. And if he comes in again this year, I don't know if he's going to have the confidence, and maybe you're right. Maybe some time off is what he needs to build his confidence up, to work with Canales and to work with the quarterback coaches. My best guess is it ends badly for Bryce Young in Carolina.
You mentioned the coaching staff previously allegedly did not even want him, but they played him, and it didn't work out. And so now you get a coach that, quote-unquote, wants you. And everybody says he wants to fix you and this and that. So instead of just throwing you out there and kind of forgetting about it, he's, guess what, going to try to fix you. And whether that's fixing you, it means gameplay and being in the moment and playing 4 quarters every Sunday or not, I think this is a positive. How can it get any worse? It can't. How can it get worse for Bryce Young?
It gets worse. I'll tell you how. It gets worse by Andy Dalton playing, Andy Dalton struggling, having to go back to Bryce Young and having it be even worse.
You could deal with Dalton struggling because Dalton doesn't care.
Yeah.
Dalton struggled in Cincinnati. He doesn't care. With the Marvin Lewis years, they were terrible a couple times.
If you got to go back to Young, is he going to be ready?
Because of injury, you can't perform. You can't prepare for things like that. But at the very least, if you could guarantee a couple weeks healthy, him starting all 4 quarters out of Dalton, I think Young's going to thank him at the end of this. I really do. And if his ego can get besides it, and he could swallow that, I think Young is going to thank him at the end of this. That's my take on that. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe he stinks, and maybe let's forget about him. He's too small, and he can't see over the line, and this and that, whatever.
And I think that was ultimately the decision that led to the benching.
This is entirely up to Bryce Young at this point. How are you going to take this? Are you going to take this constructively? Or are you going to take this personally? And if you take this personally, yeah, your career is going to go up in flames like 1,000 others before you. Or if you're going to take this constructively, guess what? You're going to be a feel-good story of the NFL, and everybody's going to root for you. I think it's going to be more of the latter. I'm not saying he's going to come out and win a couple Pro Bowls, but I think the next Bryce Young you see, at least if it's a couple weeks, maybe a year, the next Bryce Young you see will be substantially better than the Bryce Young we have seen of late. And that doesn't take much. I understand that. But it's something. That's my take on that. Now let's shift on. Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3. We're behind a little bit. I want to get to our 5 at 5 at 5. And we got to get into who is the contenders and pretenders of the world in the NFL. 0-2s, the 2-0s. Are they contenders? Are they pretenders? The Seattle is 2-0. And then you got, of course, the Cincinnatis of the world that are 0-2. So we're going to get into our contenders and pretenders probably midway through the second hour. We're going to get into the 5 at 5 next with Damian Perez. We haven't heard from him. He's going to help us out behind the glass. You're listening to Russo and Rizzo live here at ESPN 106.3.
Hi, it's Evan Cohen with great news. It's officially football season on ESPN 106.3. Monday Night Football is on ESPN 106.3. The Falcons and the Eagles wrap up Week 2. Pregame starts at 7:30. ESPN 106.3 is your official home for football.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
I'm Wendy Sartori-Link, your Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections, and I'm committed to the integrity and accuracy of our elections. Election Day is November 5th. To vote in the 2024 general election, you have to be registered by Monday, October 7th. Registering is easy, and you can do so online at www.registertovoteflorida.gov, by mail or in person at any one of our 4 offices or a voter registration agency. Your vote is your voice, and we're here to make it count. Sponsored by the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections.
Hey, it's your boy JC. Tua says he has no plans to retire, but is he telling the whole truth? He is not. I'll explain why on today's Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Subscribe now, exclusively on YouTube. Brand new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen on YouTube.
Fins fans,
Russo and Rizzo here, and we're hitting the road and broadcasting live.
Want to meet some of your favorite Miami Dolphins players? Now is your chance.
Palm Beach Autographs invites you to an in-person autograph event on Tuesday, September 17th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the mall in Wellington Green.
Devon A. Chain, Odell Beckham Jr., Jono Smith, and Tyreek Hill are all scheduled to appear. To purchase tickets, visit palmbeachautographs.com or give them a call today.
Hurricane fans, join us Friday night, September 27th at 7:30 p.m. as the Miami Hurricanes take on Virginia Tech in a game with purpose at Hard Rock Stadium. This isn't just any game. It's our breast cancer awareness game. Wear your pink and show your support for a cause that touches us all. Let's pack the stadium, raise awareness, and cheer the Canes to victory. Get your tickets at MiamiHurricanes.com or by calling 1-800-GO-CANES.
Looking for a stress-free move in Florida? Choose Safebound Moving and Storage. We're your trusted local experts offering reliable, efficient, and secure moving and storage solutions. Whether you're moving across town, across the country, or simply need a safe place for your belongings, our team is here to make your transition smooth and worry-free. Safebound Moving and Storage, where your move is our priority. Call us today for a free quote and experience moving made easy. You're safe with Safebound.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station. Time now for a PNC pause. PNC Bank is committed to making a difference in the lives of the customers they serve in the South Florida community. See how at PNC.com. You're listening to ESPN 106.3.
Bet live with Hard Rock Bet. Real-time wagering till the very last play. Missing the kickoff doesn't mean all bets are off.
Delay a game on the guy who
hasn't bet yet.
Sometimes you just know your team is going to come back. There's sportsbook for every kind of player. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us. Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
It's Monday. You know what that means. Yep, Monday. Woo. Oh, you don't know? Oh, okay, no problem. ESPN 106.3 all day. ESPN 106.3. You'll get it.
These days, everything seems so expensive. Food, clothes even. So let's think long-term real quick. Wouldn't you rather be driving around in a fuel-efficient new Kia from Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach? I mean, that could save you mucho dinero back in your pocket right now. Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach is under construction and overstocked, so they are making deals that other dealers won't like. Brand new 24 Kia Fortes for only $99 a month, plus 0% APR financing is available. And they want your old car. Get up to $6,000 over Kelly Blue Book fair market value for any trade. So what are you waiting for? Get to Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach today. Call 800-NEW-KIAs or visit online at greenwaykiawestpalmbeach.com. Qualified applicants through KMF. 24-month lease, $24.99 due at signing. 10,000 miles per year. Security deposit waived, plus tax, tag, and $9.99 admin fee. Negative equity refinanced. Discount includes all factory rebates to dealer. Offers don't combine. Expires 11/5/24.
We want to see ya in a Greenway Kia.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
888-760-3776. The number to get into the program, 888-760-3776. Russo and Rizzo live here. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Damian Perez helping us out behind the glass. Hour 2 on this Monday. Week 2 of the NFL almost concluding. You got the Eagles tonight at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Eagles coming off that game in Sao Paulo. Falcons coming off a terrible loss against Pittsburgh last week. That's on Monday Night Football on ESPN tonight. Bryce Young officially benched. Riz and I disagreed on whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. 888-760-3776. What say you, the fan, the listener? 888-760-3776. Got to tell you about our pals over at Hard Rock Bet. Sports betting, guess what? It's legal in Florida on Hard Rock Bet. It's Florida's only legal sportsbook app. Never before in September have you been able to bet on football before, but this year, for the first time ever, guess what? You can bet on football to start the season. Bet on who you think will win the division, the conference, the whole thing. You could bet the futures, anything you want. You could also bet college football on Hard Rock Bet. Try Hard Rock Bet now and get up to $100 back if your first bet does not win. First bet can be parlays, props, overs, you name it. Hard Rock Bet's got it all. Try it today. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned by gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Damian, how you doing?
Great, man. I mean, you guys were having such a heated discussion. I didn't want to break that up.
Were you hanging on for dear life as the hurricane came through the station?
Man, that was awesome. I got to say, from my perspective, it was great to see.
I want to get some Damian's of thoughts today. Wow, I can't even think. Let's get to the 5 and 5.
Number 1.
All right. Mike Norvell said that he is pleased with DJU's preparation for games this season. Is Mike Norvell's seat getting hot?
Listen, yeah.
We talked to Stephanie Prince, our great GM here at ESPN West Palm. I think the fear, Colin, is they don't want to become Florida. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to become Florida.
It's a big-time program, so you need to have a good backup in mind already when we're doing this. So I understand that. And this is a tricky way to take over a new program in a big state like that. You need to have connections already to South Florida or even the South. So that's one thing. Maybe the grass isn't always greener, but they are pathetic. They stink. They have no guts. They don't play with any life. So it's a disgrace. And I think, you know what, people want to bring up, losing all those players, and there's probably part of it. You know what I think it was? I think them not getting that bid to the college football playoff last year, and then basically rolling over and dying did a lot for the program culture against Georgia. Georgia didn't play everybody either. And they laid over, and they're one of the most colossal beatdowns I think I've ever seen at a collegiate level was against that Georgia game. I think that took a lot out of them. And I think that took an edge out. And I think you're seeing some of that turnover into this year.
I want to tread carefully here because I know how many FSU fans we have in the office. Instead of whining about why you didn't make the college football playoff, you should have been focusing this year. I don't think enough, Kyle, was focused on getting ready for this year. And I think a lot of it has to do with where does it all start? It starts with your head coach and it starts with your quarterback. I don't care that it's college. It's the same thing as the NFL. If you have a lousy head coach, let me rephrase. I don't think Norvell is lousy. I think Norvell was worried about a lot more things than this year, like maybe a la getting out of the ACC and sticking it to the NCAA committee for keeping him out. He brought in DJU. I don't think enough scouting was done about DJU. And then, Kyle, I got to tip my cap to you. You warned me about DJU. I was kind of like, he's at a Power 5 conference now. He's back with the Power 5 team. Florida State's
You don't transfer twice for no reason. Yeah, you don't transfer twice for no reason.
I don't think the due diligence was put in enough in scouting DJU and bringing him in as the quarterback. They're bad. When you lose to Memphis at home, I'm a spoiled.
That's not even a talent thing. That's a guts thing.
That is.
That's a pride thing.
I'm a spoiled Buckeye fan, so I could hardly speak on this. If we ever lost to Memphis on our home field and we're 0-3 to start the year, the coach wouldn't even be allowed to come back into the locker room.
It's a pride thing at that point. That's really what it is. Boston College, too. Boston College solid. So I'm not even going to I can't even put a lot of blame on that. And Georgia Tech, they're okay. Memphis, it's a pride thing. Number 2.
Gator fans booed Napier and the Gators this weekend at the Swamp after another embarrassing performance. This time against SEC foe Texas A&M. Do you feel bad for Billy Napier?
Kyle, I do feel bad for Billy Napier. I don't think they should have fired Dan Mullen in the first place. He won, 3 straight New Year's Six Bowls, was getting compared to Kirby Smart. That's why he got fired. Folks, there's a great listen on the, I believe it's the ESPN College Football podcast. It was The Mouth of the South, Paul Feinbaum, and Matt Berry. And they talked about this situation exactly. They talked about how Dan Mullen got fired because Florida was angry. He wasn't recruiting the way that Kirby Smart was at Georgia, and he was getting compared to Kirby Smart. Well, now they have Billy Napier, and now they are an absolute mess, and they have to lay in this bed, Kyle. I have this sound clip I wanted to listen to real quick. If you could turn down the hotbed pot a little bit, D. Here's Billy Napier on getting booed after the game, Colin.
This is one of those places where there's history and tradition and expectations.
No, hang on. Hold on. I botched that. Hold on. Let's restart that. Napier on getting booed.
This is one of those places where there's history and tradition and expectations. There's been a lot of really good football teams that played in that stadium in the past. When you play ugly ball, then, hey, it comes with the territory. I probably would have done the same thing, truth be known.
So Billy Napier saying he would have basically booed himself, Colin, on this matter. I feel bad for him. How can't you?
Yeah. He's better off not coaching that team. He is better off. You being there, it's sad. This is the state of the Florida teams. What a 180. Yeah, you had so much success from Florida and FSU over the past 15 years. And all of a sudden, now it's Miami coming back onto the scene, and the other two just disappearing into oblivion.
In incredible fashion, too, by the way.
Yeah. And, I'd like to see Miami tested a little bit more now. So, and luck, unfortunately, we're not going to see that for a while.
I think we went through it at Louis, Theo and JMP. We all went through it in the kitchen this morning. I believe, Colin, Virginia Tech, at Louisville, Georgia Tech, and I want to say FSU, but that's going to be a rout. I mean, that's going to be a 3-4 touchdown victory.
So if Miami goes into that playoff, let's assume
they have the easiest road.
One loss or no losses. I'm going to assume that they're not going to get that 0-1 overall seed, but they're going to be that 2 or 3. They're going to play a good team in that second round after that bye, if they get that ACC bid.
Who's going to meet them in the championship game, though? Is it going to be Boston College? Is it going to be Georgia Tech?
Boston College getting knocked out of the top 25, too, didn't sit right with me. They played at Missouri, who's a good team. They're not great. They're a good team. And they hung around, and they led for a little bit. I know they were down 27-14 at a certain point, but, it wasn't as bad of a loss as it was made out to be. I think Boston College plays with a lot of guts. Bill O'Brien, consider me a fan. Give them credit, and that's not an easy place to play, SEC. I'm okay with that.
I know I lit up Coach Dabo Sweeney to Kingdom Come when they got blown out by Georgia, but maybe it's Clemson and Miami. Maybe Clemson finds something with Klubnik and that offense, and they're able to be the second-best team in the ACC, but
nobody's going to challenge Miami.
No, they have the easiest path to the college football playoff.
You're going to see these war-hardened, battered SEC teams that are going to be healthy and hungry after playing gauntlets of a schedule, and they might eat Miami alive. Miami's not good enough to get away with the 15-0 like Clemson was with Lawrence's freshman year. They're not good enough for that.
No, they don't have they have talent, but I don't think they're that talented, if that makes sense.
They could get away with it.
This is horrible for this state of the ACC is horrible for the ACC.
And those schools are not getting out.
They're not getting out. To have Florida State be a dread, awful. To have Clemson not be able to compete at the highest stage with some of the best teams, awful. Like, it's great that Miami's come out of nowhere, but can Miami even run with a team like Georgia?
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Moving on, buddy, to 3.
Number 3.
Georgia squeaked by Kentucky this past weekend in Lexington, 13-12. Are you buying Kirby's statement about Kentucky after the game?
So here's what Kirby Smart had to say about Kentucky after the game.
I tried to tell everybody all week, but nobody would listen to me. I know what this team's made out of. I know how tough he coaches. I know several of his coaches on the staff. I've known them for a long time. I have tremendous respect. And when they get disrespected like they did last week and they listen to it for a week, they come out ready to play.
Hey, Kyle, you there?
That's like...
You there, buddy?
All of a sudden, Kentucky is... Since when? 95 Nebraska? Like, I don't understand. Why are they so good all of a sudden? They got destroyed by South Carolina last week.
Got caught. Kirby got caught with his pants down.
You got caught in a trap game. Just say that.
And
you're allowed to say that. I mean, maybe it's a little offensive to call Kentucky a trap game because it alludes to the fact that they're poor. You're the number 1 team in the country. It's a trap game. You got caught. And you escaped. Good. You say thank you.
The AP agrees because Texas jumped them. And Kyle, I hate...
They're looking ahead to Bama. They got Bama in 2 weeks on the road. They have an impossible schedule.
They do.
Sue them for not looking at Kentucky seriously.
I hate being Mr. I Told You So guy, but I also love being Mr. I Told You So guy. I'm telling you, man, the Bulldogs struggle in these SEC games. And you're no longer... I know you played Kentucky this past weekend, but you don't have that SEC East schedule, man. You're at Tuscaloosa. You're at Texas. Colin, if they play like at Ole Miss. Colin, if they play like that in Bama, at Ole Miss, at Texas, they will lose by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, they
will lose by 2 touchdowns.
They're winners. They are. It's a winning program. You can't assume. I don't think they're going to win all 3. That's a very tough stretch of games. But no Saban this time around, and we all know how Saban was with Kirby. And no Saban this time around. You're thinking of a different coach. This is a college football championship-winning head coach going against Sarkisian and Kiffin and whatever his name is, DeBoer. So, at the very least...
But wait a minute. Kalen DeBoer had a staple victory in Wisconsin.
Oh, God.
As a former...
Tyler Van Dyke out for the year, just announced.
As a Colin is an alumnus of Wisconsin. What a staple win for DeBoer.
You want to talk about a guy who has absolutely done nothing in his college career so far? Let's think about Luke Fickell for a second.
He took Cincinnati to the playoff.
They got Chris out of there. They bring in Luke Fickell. They pay him $8 million a year. They open up the NIL floodgates for him after Chris never got it. And what does he do? He brings in Phil Longo, who's this air raid aficionado. He brings in Mike Tressel, the son of Jim and defensive woo with Ohio State. And what does he do? He has a terribly disappointing season last year. People chalked it off as a honeymoon. I didn't, but that's what people did. Losing at Indiana and to Northwestern at home is no, deal with the honeymoon or changing systems. That is not that. They lost to Indiana last year on the road. Indiana was 2-22 in their previous 24 Big Ten football games before that game last year. And they lost. I was at the game. They lost to Northwestern. My parents were there. They were down 24-7 in the second quarter against Northwestern. And then Fickell comes out this year and, they squeaks by Western Michigan and squeaks by South Dakota. And then all of a sudden Alabama comes to town and they absolutely punked them. So the idea that Luke Fickell deserves any type of this money, and he's such a cookie cutter, he's such a phony with the media. I cannot deal with him. He is unbelievable. When he got hired, he was in Times Square with some bogus, big headline, and he's on the big screens and all these commercials. It was a load of crap. And then he sits talking to the media, talking about, we're going to grow from this. You're going to grow from this. Coach, you're losing to teams that are terrible. You're losing. Your team has no life. There's former players who are not even on great teams are coming out and saying that this team is embarrassing to watch. What are you trying to... You get USC, their defense has finally figured it out after 30 years. USC gets rid of Alex Krintz, their defensive coordinator. What does he do? He goes on a plane to Madison, Wisconsin, and now co-defensive coordinator of the Wisconsin Badgers. Alabama comes in, and they rip them to shreds.
Yep.
Didn't even try. And I know the quarterback got hurt, and I know that threw a wrench in the mix. But Wisconsin hasn't won a big game in years. This is stupid. What are we talking? The Big Ten is as beatable as it's ever been. Last year with the Big Ten West. You want to talk about the SEC East being poor? How about the Big Ten West?
Oh, it was
Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, Nebraska. The teams that were terrible last year.
It was the MAC, dude. Call it for what it is. It was the MAC.
They were terrible. And Fickell stunk in it. Luke Fickell is such a fraud. It is unbelievable. And he is sitting there in the media with the vest on with TEAM on the back that stands for toughness and enthusiasm and leadership and family. Dude, leave that crap at the door. I almost swore there. Leave that crap at the door. You should be motivating these guys to kill their opponents. You should be motivating them to pummel them into the ground. And he's talking about, holding hands. That works for some teams. It's not working for this team. That team is a disgrace. And the athletic program is in shambles, and they should fire their head basketball coach. That's a whole other story. And they should fire the head football coach. I am over that. Grass isn't always greener. You're right. Chris was a mess, too. They're a disgrace.
Is it Florida level disgrace?
No.
Okay. Is it like firing?
They don't have the money for that like Florida.
Right. You're not willing to give Fickell more time. I know, like you said, to your points, they opened up the transfer portal. They've gotten players, and you just think it's not going to work at all. I like to look at year 3. What are you in year 3, right? That's why I was so hard on Brian Kelly for losing that game against USC.
And there's a point to that. I think pre-NIL, that's a very sound argument.
Okay.
I think now it is as easy is not the right word. You were as capable as ever to revamp a team. And that's what they did. They went into the transfer portal, and they got a bunch of big-name guys. They got all their guys from Cincinnati. I got people, the Fickell apologists, telling me how, his guys haven't reached the top of the starting lineup yet. Give them some time. He doesn't have his guys in yet. First of all, we're in the second year of this. He brought in half the Cincinnati's roster. What do you mean his guys aren't there yet? If they're not there yet, and it's still Christ's guys that are still starting, that is a testament to who he is bringing in. You don't need these guys to be prepared by senior year. Hey, what are we going to catch them in 2038? When are these guys going to be ready? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're bringing in sophomores and juniors and guys who have played for a year or two in Cincinnati, and he's saying that, these are not his guys. You got to give them a couple years. A couple years? Nobody's going to the games anymore. The Big Ten is sink or swim now with these new ads. It's sink or swim. You are going to get left in the dust. And a couple bad years, and that kills you in recruiting.
It does. And
when players see how bad you are and how pathetic you are, they want nothing to do with you.
That was my next point I wanted to mention to you is they're already losing kids to Ohio State. They're already losing kids to Michigan.
Penn State, too.
Penn State. I mean, Colin, Illinois is a better football program than them right now.
And that's Bielema, who is a Wisconsin guy.
Right. And that's why I bring up the Illini, a team that I was close to for 3 years in Peoria. I mean, they got a huge game. Colin, if Illinois beats Nebraska, all of a sudden, you look at Illinois and you look at Wisconsin, you really start to wonder who's better off for the future.
At a certain point, if his guys have not started yet and the team is losing every big game they play, I don't think it's a testament to him waiting for his guys to go in. I think it's a testament to how poor he has done as a Wisconsin head coach. He has done nothing.
Last thing I'll touch on this, too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm ranting. I got to get out of it.
You're fine. Last thing I'll touch on this, too. You mentioned the Big Ten is open. This is probably the last year of that, in my opinion. Like, outside of Ohio State, I think it is wide open.
And you don't even need to be the best team in the conference to get a bid.
Yeah, I think the Buckeyes are by far the best team. Now, I'm a homer. We'll see when they go to Eugene. But Oregon has struggled already this year. Michigan already has a loss.
Michigan's a nightmare.
Penn State should have lost to Bowling freaking Green 2 weeks ago. So
that second spot's
I get your
for the
frustration.
Taking. That second spot is wide for the taking.
I get your frustration.
If you make that Big Ten championship game, you are getting a bid. That is the bottom line.
Right.
And I'm not saying Wisconsin should be even held to. They don't even hold a candle to that standard. And I know that. But with the money he is making, top 10 money, $8 million a year. Fraudulent. And I'm so over the cookie-cutter media answers. There's not a shred of authenticity to what he says. Whatever we are.
Number 4.
Quinn Ewers got hurt over the weekend at Arch Manning, and Arch Manning came in and played well. Arch also will be starting Texas' next game against UL Monroe, with Ewers most likely being held out. Is Texas the clear-cut number 1?
I think they are right now. Kyle,
At this point.
I think they are at this point now.
Manning played well.
He did. Oh, my God. How about those wheels?
That's why I give him credit, dude. He could play anywhere in the country right now, and he is sitting there waiting.
How about those wheels?
It's fast.
He didn't get that from Eli. He didn't get that from Peyton.
He ran 21 miles an hour.
They go, I think Peyton said, our dad's athleticism, or like his quickness, rather, skipped the generation in Eli and me and went to Arch. I love this. I had questions, Kyle, if he would be able to handle the pressure, if he would be, because remember the rumors last year said, oh, God, Arch just looked bad and this and that. I mean, it's 18-year-old kid. God forbid, Colin, this kid goes out and like throws for 4 or 5 touchdowns. I know Ewers is the guy. Holy cow, how do you bench someone like Arch Manning? Fair play to Sarkisian.
And fair enough. Whoever UTSA, whoever they're playing. I mean, Mike and I can get out there and probably have a couple receptions.
I think I could have been a center there.
They stink, and I understand that.
No, I'm a little undersized.
But they're impressive. They really are. And I give Manning credit. That takes a lot of humility to kind of sit back. He could have played anywhere. He could have went to Florida and started immediately. He could have went to, I would say, 90% of the Big Ten schools, and he would be starting.
I think he'd be starting for the Buckeyes this year, too.
He would be starting for the Buckeyes this year.
Will Howard.
He'd start over Dylan Gabriel right now.
Right.
Like, he would start over a lot of these guys. So I give him credit for waiting, especially if they win a title this year. Because that's not the greatest thing in the world, is sitting behind a guy watching him win a title.
Colin, how about Sarkisian? Yeah. Who the hell would have thunk that
people
he would have
doubted
this
him
success?
immediately, and they let it sit, and that's a little different. Maybe if you want to fire that fickle thing back at me in a year or two, when all of a sudden they pull an Arch Manning, please, I invite you to.
Year 1,
they're not going to do that.
What was it? It was year 2 for Sark last year, and he made the college football playoff. Now Texas is hardly Wisconsin, but I understand. You ready for 5C?
Yeah.
Number 5.
There are 8 total teams that are 0-2 in the NFL. Atlanta could become the 9th if they lose to Philadelphia Eagles tonight on Monday Night Football. Who's the most dead 0-2 team?
I mean, outside of the obvious Panther-Giant answer, I think Jacksonville's dead. I think we've gotten into that. I don't want to rant about another one of my teams. But I think Jacksonville is dead. Can
I give you one, Kyle?
Are the Rams dead?
God, that was an awful performance. How terrible. That was our lock. Are you aware?
They're banged up.
Are you aware? Like, I know, like, I've been waxing poetically on how bad, theoretically speaking, and how CCAD is trying to throw this thing. Count, are you aware our lock lost 41-10? And then the other team, the Cowboys, lost like 42-13. What the hell were we thinking with some of these picks over the weekend?
Yeah. Tennessee's probably dead.
We should stick with college. Colin, I swear we're better at picking college than
because these college games are either 60-0 or it's 59-58. Like
I mean, Fat Jack is $1,000 richer because of this show.
Yeah.
How about the Bulls?
I'm looking forward to that parade that he throws us. We go 3-0 this week. There is not a thing. We shouldn't even have him on. Why are you coming on with us if we're hitting every bet we do? I'm just kidding. We love Fat Jack at fatjacksports.com. Quick plug. I'll give him that.
My 0-2, by the way, the Broncos. I'll be the first to say it. I thought there could have been some magic between Bo Nix and Sean Payton this year. I still think Sean Payton is a good coach. But golly, Colin, if we screamed at each other till we were blue in the face about how we disagreed with Carolina. I think we could both agree that is a nightmare right now in Denver with Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
And did you see the video of the guys in the huddle? Sean Payton notoriously has the Shakespeare novels as his play calls. And it takes 20 seconds to get the play call out. And Breeze was great at it. That's one thing. But you could see Nix was clearly struggling with it, and the team was getting frustrated with it.
Right.
Dumb it down. Dumb it down a little bit. Jeez.
Label
it's ego.
Label the captain, and I understand this is fueling Colin's side of the argument. Don't start a kid when he's not ready. But listen, kid, if Bo Nix, how old is he?
24.
He's 3 years older than you. He's 2-3 years older than my guy sitting across the table from me. Mingia, if he's not ready now, when in the hell is he going to be ready? When he's 30?
You could say the same thing about Penix.
When he's 30?
You could say the same thing about Penix. I don't know.
I love Penix. I loved Caleb Williams, too. Colin, didn't he throw for 4 touchdowns? Didn't Caleb throw for 4 touchdowns on Sunday Night Football last night? He looked amazing, right? Oh, wait.
That Bear game was ugly. One of the worst third quarters I think I've ever watched watching football, too. We'll get into that next. I want to talk about the Bears and that Houston game, and more importantly, what the number 1 overall pick had to show for us. A little Jets, too. We got a whole lot to do. You listen to Russo and Rizzo live here at ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen for the Accident Attorneys, Anajar and Levine. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Did you get injured on the job? Workers' comp problems? My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine, they will fight for you. Remember, they do not get paid unless you get paid, and they will fight to get you the maximum compensation you know you deserve. Here's what you do. You just call. Call Anajar and Levine for your absolutely free consultation. Do not settle for just any attorneys. Demand Anajar and Levine, and demand the Anajar and Levine difference. It takes just one phone call to begin to take back control of your life. So do that. Take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Anajar and Levine, Accident Attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Is racking up tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt really worth the 4-year degree? Not a lot of people think so anymore. A recent Wall Street Journal poll found that 56% of us believe that a skills-based education, that's a smarter investment than a 4-year degree. So why waste that time and money when there's an alternative right here in North Palm Beach that teaches the skills that people can actually use in today's world, and you can get those skills in just months, not years. I'm talking about CSB Media Arts Center, the home of Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which provides hands-on training in audio and video production, podcasting, sports broadcasting, social media marketing, filmmaking, coding, and so much more. For over 60 years, CSB has placed thousands of graduates in careers. Take a moment and visit GoCSB.com to schedule a tour. That's GoCSB.com.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers.
It's the Good Greek Spiro. For the best move ever, go to goodgreek.com.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers.
This is the Delray Beach Open. Don't miss today's top professional tennis stars and legends in downtown Delray Beach. February 7th through 16th. It's 10 days of tennis on the Ave. 140 miles per hour races, parties, music, art, and all the good vibes. Come for the nonstop action on and off the court. Snap pics and post memories at the DBO. Join us for a jam-packed week of ATP tennis matches. More fun, more food, more drink, more parties, more of everything. DelrayBeachOpen.com for info.
Calling morning, all sports fans. Grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen. When you need auto repair, honesty and reliability are everything. Trust the home for honest, reliable service since 1970. St. Lucie Battery and Tire. St. Lucie Battery and Tire has all the tire and battery brands in stock for cars, trucks, RVs, marine, power sports, golf carts, everything. Major and minor service repairs, free tire pressure, battery checks. St. Lucie Battery and Tire, over 50 years in our community. And now with 18 full-service locations, West Palm to the Treasure Coast. Go to slbt.com. That's slbt.com.
You've got so many chances to win big on Hard Rock Bet. Even a small bet can bring in that serious cash. All you need is $1 and a dream.
Unbelievable. They've hit the parlay.
Let's go! Big payouts for every kind of player. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us. Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
With the resources of a national bank and personalized service of local teams, PNC Bank is committed to helping their customers and communities move forward. PNC, local teams working to make a difference in the South Florida community. See how at pnc.com.
Hey, it's your boy JC. Tua says he has no plans to retire, but is he telling the whole truth? He is not. I'll explain why on today's Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Subscribe now, exclusively on YouTube. Brand new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen on YouTube.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
888-760-3776, the number to get into the program, 888-760-3776. Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3. We've been tangents and losing, sidetracking and yelling. And
We've had a lot of fun.
It's a Monday.
We've had a lot of fun, man.
It's a Monday. It's an overreaction Monday. What good would
Correct.
it be if we didn't overreact in a little bit? Nonetheless, couple games yesterday that should be highlighted. Good 1 p.m. slate, but more importantly, I think I don't want to get too early on it, but in terms of somebody who wasn't playing terribly great was what we saw in that Bear game yesterday.
Oh.
One thing's for sure, the Bears' defense is really, really good.
Yeah, and
that's a tough offense, and they're on the road, and they held with them pretty hard.
Fair play to Eberflus.
They play hard for him.
Fair play.
They did last year, too. They play hard for him.
Now, I can't lie, I couldn't believe they brought back, I thought it was the perfect time to reset, if that makes sense, Kyle. I thought it was the perfect time to reset the clock of head coach. You just got a new starting quarterback. You know, don't let Eberflus
Sometimes letting a rookie be with a rookie can be detrimental too. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Sure. But now I'm starting to understand why, because golly, he calls the plays and they look pretty good. But Colin, wait a minute. Why are we? Didn't Caleb? I swear Caleb Williams threw for 4 touchdowns last night.
And
I swear he rushed for 2.
We were talking about.
Did I have a fever dream?
We were talking about terrible situations that number 1 overall picks are, beholden to the second they get drafted to. Like Rizzo said, hopeless franchises. The Bears are not a hopeless franchise at this point.
They are at the position, but not as a team.
They won last week, and last week was ugly, and the Titans are just as bad. So that's one thing. And that Texan game, I understand. Texans are a good team. But in terms of what I saw, the Bears were in every position to take that game. With that defense, and they play hard, and they have a lot of talent all over the field. Williams, at a certain point, it's hard. It's a little early to come to conclusions, but you got to be a little not concerned, but a little upset with what you've seen with him so far. Rizzo, you covered this team.
I did.
You know what it's like with the Fields versus this. This guy's throwing it, and, he's fearless, and you'll give him that. And I know he's getting banged around a ton. I know that offensive line is not very good. But he was just firing anything and everything.
He was. And the Justin Fields loyalists were out last night, Colin.
Oh, they still exist?
They still exist.
Oh, he's 2-0. That hurts that he's 2-0.
Right. And they were out last night because what were the conversations about Justin? He hung on to the ball too long. Can't read a defense. Throws it into double and triple coverage. I mean, to be fair to the loyalists, okay, Williams has done all of the above. And the argument for Justin was he never had enough weapons, Colin. And now Caleb Williams, who has weapons, who, what did we just say? Has everything he needs to do to be successful. This isn't a team like the Carolina Panthers that you get drafted to and you're just a lost cause because you got nothing around you. You have one of the best defenses in the league. You have Keenan Allen. I know he didn't play last night, but you got DJ Moore. Man, the body language of DJ Moore did not look good last night, too.
Oh, God.
He looked
sad.
Oh, my
Though, at least
Lord.
the rest of the team's playing hard.
The
rest of the team's playing hard. Williams is getting up. Give him credit.
Yeah, and I don't.
You look like such a phony when you do that. That's just such a wide receiver thing to do.
It really is.
I'm not getting my touches. The ball's
Right.
not near me. I'm going to throw a fit on the sidelines. Jamar Chase.
Oh, did you see that yesterday?
Grow up.
I mean, it cost his team 15 yards in a pretty important game, would you say?
If your starting quarterback dragging you away.
Right.
DJ Moore. Oh, God, I'm down on him.
Yeah, and he got paid, right? He agreed to this. I know, like, hey, it's training camp. How could you tell if you want to be with this quarterback or not when you're practicing against air? But, you agreed to this. You signed to the contract. Are we overreacting a little bit? Probably. But he was visibly frustrated last night. And Caleb Williams on the bench. They did a side-by-side of Justin on the bench and Caleb on the bench, and both of them like, oh, my God, what did I sign up for kind of look. I don't go to the curse card often because you're talking to a miserable Brown fan. But if Caleb Williams doesn't work out for the Bears, man, my heart is out there. My heart is out there for the Bear fans right now. I think it's going to get better. I have no choice. I agreed.
They're
in a sense.
1-1. They're not 0-2. 0-2 is a death sentence.
I don't have a choice but to ride out Williams at this point, just like how I did with Bryce Young, because I thought Bryce Young was going to be good. But here we are, man. And Colin, if you got anything remotely good from the quarterback position in that game, you win that game.
They had a chance.
Kyle,
you win that. They got the ball back at the end of the game.
Numerous times, not even just at the end of the game. Numerous times they had a chance to go out and put some points on the board. But the throwing into triple coverage, the hanging onto the ball.
Sailing everything.
Hey, I mean, the last play of the game. Kyle, the last play of the game. Where is he throwing? Where are you going, kid?
Sailing everything.
Where are you going?
And I get it. He's under pressure. And this is a lot. Those defensive guys, they have a good pass rush. They went after him. And I get it. He was getting banged around. But to that point, it's like he's frantic. Calm down. You got to slow down. And the idea of taking what the defense gives you, I think, is a completely foreign concept. Number one, Lincoln Riley quarterbacks to Caleb Williams.
It's funny you say that, Colin, because before the game, like C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams talked to each other. And C.J. gave him some advice that said, bro, don't try to do everything yourself. Trust in your team, trust in your teammates. You don't have to do everything yourself.
Don't be a hero.
It looked like Williams was trying to move the sticks with his mind than with his play. If that makes sense, Colin. Like, move the sticks with your mind. You think that's going to be a good throw into triple coverage for the big play, but...
And what did Houston do? They sent it on the run game. Hey, this running game is not going to get through to us. They completely shut it down, and they're putting the ball in the hands of the number one overall pick. That was their game plan, and they're going to let Caleb make mistakes. It's smart, and that Houston offense didn't even play that great.
Yeah, and one more thing too, Kyle. They have not been able to establish the run at all, the Bears, this year.
No.
Swift,
it's that offensive line.
Swift has been a nightmare. Now, we could sit here and blame the line. It probably is the offensive line's fault. And those were conversations for a long time, Colin, we had in Peoria. Is this offensive line good enough? Is the defensive line good enough? The defensive line has showed up so far this year. Jervon Dexter, the second-round pick from 2 years ago, looks pretty good. You're seeing some movement up front.
But then you get Odunze at 10 overall when there's offensive
don't like
line
that.
in there.
No, don't even get me started with Odunze.
So that was the decision.
Odunze's not.
You went flash over flesh.
Look at the receivers that got taken in the first round that weren't named Odunze. The two in front of him belong there in Neighbors and Harrison. By the way, what a tremendous bounce back Marvin Harrison had. My Buckeye.
And Neighbors.
Yeah, Neighbors too. Odunze, now, Odunze has who throwing him the ball? Danny Dimes, okay?
No, Neighbors, you mean.
Or sorry, yeah. Neighbors has Danny Dimes throwing him the ball, and he was still, like, I don't know. I just didn't think Odunze was that pick at that time, but, I don't want to sit here and talk about ancient history of the NFL draft, but Kyle, maybe they could have used something on the offensive line. Maybe they could have used more hogs in the offseason.
You know who did that right when they didn't need to? Was the Detroit Lions. When everybody said they should go after Jamar Chase and they drafted Penei Sewell instead. Mm-hmm. And now Penei Sewell is a staple of that offensive line, and they were able to go receiver later and get J-Mo a couple years after that.
Mm-hmm.
Some flash over flesh. And at the bottom line, if you're want to be a remotely successful team, the number one thing on everybody's board should not be how good your receivers are. It should be, can we protect the quarterback?
Yeah. Damien, go ahead.
Damien was mentioning the
no, and that allowed the Lions to have the luxury of reaching for Jamar Gibbs and not needing to go out and get another O-lineman because they were already set on that.
That's a good point.
And also,
they did that.
Colin, can I throw another draft pick from there? Sam Laporta. They drafted Laporta. I remember at the time too, we were talking, why aren't the Lions getting premium positions? Why are they drafting these guys in the first round? It's worked out. I'm not a Goff guy, and I think Goff got found out a little bit this past Sunday against the Buccaneers. But if he's able to manage the game and get the ball to those weapons, I mean, they proved that they could win the division already and they could compete for a Super Bowl. If Dan Campbell wasn't trying to be, who's your buddy with the RKO? Who did we see live?
Randy Orton.
If he wasn't trying to be this WWE.
He's a gambler. He's a gambler. Oh,
if he wasn't trying to be this WWE personality, they're probably in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And, I know that's their persona. And I think you saw something from Ben Johnson, too, their offensive coordinator. Confusing. Not utilizing Mike Jones, who's in the office with us, who's a big Lion fan.
From Detroit.
Comes in and says, I don't think I think what you learned about the Lions is they have nobody at receiver outside of Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let me get this straight. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a first-team All-Pro, and Jamison Williams has had an excellent start to the year. How many receivers do you need? And you got a guy who was a first-team All-Pro as a rookie last year at tight end.
Oh, God.
Oh, my. Talk about a spoils of riches. Jeez.
And he's a Lion fan. So what do you
We don't have enough receivers. How many do you need? How many do you need?
Lion fans win 1 year. Colin, they have a good year, and now, expectation.
Oh, my God.
Fair play to you. Fair play
God. We got to close out the program here. We're coming back next. I want to get into a little contender pretender. Some more Bryce Young quotes came out about what Dave Canales benching him after week 2 and going with Andy Dalton now. We'll get into that and close out the program next. You listen to Russo Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen for the Accident Attorneys, Anajar and Levine. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Did you get injured on the job? Workers' comp problems? My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine, they will fight for you. Remember, they do not get paid unless you get paid, and they will fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Here's what you do. You just call. Call Anajar and Levine for your absolutely free consultation. Do not settle for just any attorneys. Demand Anajar and Levine, and demand the Anajar and Levine difference. It takes just one phone call to begin to take back control of your life. So do that. Take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Anajar and Levine, Accident Attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Time for listener mail. Jim in Jupiter writes, Dear ESPN 106.3, some maniac just cut me off in traffic. What should I do? Jim, do nothing. Relax. Turn up your radio and enjoy the drive while listening to ESPN 106.3. Life's just better that way.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Closing out the program here on a Monday. Week 2 of the NFL closing out with Monday Night Football tonight. Philadelphia hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons at 0-1. Philadelphia at 1-0. That'll be on 8:20. ESPN, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the call. It's Russo and Rizzo, Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Damian Perez helping us out as always behind the glass. Presented by our pals over at the Boca Raton Bowl. Hey, guess what? The annual Boca Raton Bowl's ABC Supply Great Chefs Tailgate Showcase, presented by Boca Raton Innovation Campus and CP Group, heats up on Tuesday, October 15th. From 6 to 8:30 p.m., joins ESPN West Palm's Theo Dorsey at Brick in Boca Raton as dozens of local chefs, breweries, and cocktail masters serve their favorite tailgate classics. Tickets are on sale now, include all food samplings, entertainment, beer, wine, cocktails, and soft drinks. Visit spiritofgivingnetwork.org/events to purchase your tickets today. Now, it sounds like an article came out. There's a little bit more insight into Dave Canales, head coach of the Carolina Panthers, his perspective and approach when it comes to benching former number 1 overall pick Bryce Young. Mike, what'd you read?
So a couple of things here. I wanted to bring up this too. Bryce Young at 23 becomes the first quarterback selected number 1 overall in the common draft era to be benched for non-injury reasons in his second season.
I'm surprised by that.
I am too. And you know, I know, Colin, we got after each other a little bit on this, but I think we could agree that this could possibly have been one of the worst case scenarios for a quarterback in NFL history. I know Jamarcus Russell was pretty bad, right? Russell was awful. There have been a lot of bad instances as well, but that stat right there, one more time, Bryce Young at 23 becomes the first quarterback selected number 1 in the common draft era since 1967 to be benched for non-injury reasons his second year. Then, Canales said he made the change after reviewing film on Sunday's 26-3 loss. Now, Colin, you and I both saw a lot of this game. I don't think there was a lot of film he had to watch to make this decision.
No.
But Young posted a career low, a 6.4 QBR. Canales did not specify, this is the important part, Canales did not specify whether owner David Tepper had a say in the decision, but he noted general manager Dan Morgan and executive vice president Brant Tillis were part of the decision, and I'm quoting now. This is Canales. Certainly a lot of parties were involved there, and ultimately this comes on me, said Canales, who was hired earlier this season for his reputation for turning around quarterbacks such as Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield. Hence, Colin, why I felt so strongly about my argument. He said, my number 1 responsibility is to help the Panthers win, and so this move puts us in the best choice to make that happen. The more I read this, Kyle, the more I think my take of they're done with Bryce Young is more, I don't want to say relevant, but more, I think, like, not so crazy. Not so, like, Riz, you know, listen.
The one thing I look at this is he excluded the owner, which is the right move, because everybody hates the owner.
Correct.
Keep him out of it. It's just going to sour what everybody thinks about you, regardless of what you did. And he included the general manager and the president of football ops. So because of that, he wouldn't have said that if it was just a head coaching thing and he went out on a limb and went Rambo by himself. So it was a multiple-person decision to bench him. And whether that's internal, the real reasons, it sounds like he's trying to please the fans there. Like, we're going to try to win, and Bryce is not helping us with that right now. And whether he's not going to come out and say, I need to take Bryce apart and build him up again,
right,
like a car. He's not going to say that because that's not the right thing. Why would you say that to the media?
Kyle, you think of Ford Mustang?
Yeah, like why would you say that to the media? So it's interesting nonetheless. I'd love to hear what Young has to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know he said he was shocked and that those reports came out. But when you give him a couple days to let it settle a little bit, or even a week, and you hear him talk to the media, I think that'll be very telling about how he is going to approach the next weeks or months of his NFL career, which will probably be the most crucial of his NFL career thus far. So that will be interesting. But it was the right move to exclude Tepper, and whether he was involved or not remains to be seen.
If he was involved, it's a problem. Agree?
If he was involved and Canales is already getting puppeteered around by him,
that's why I always say, Kyle, with my brownies, I have no sources. This isn't me reporting anything. Nobody could tell me that Andrew Berry went out and got Deshaun Watson. That was all the owner. And from what we've heard, it was all the owner that Bryce Young was brought in. Owners need to realize you hire football people for a reason. Let them handle things. Let the football people handle things. You be the jolly-go-lucky owner that everyone loves, and then whatever. I know Tepper has set himself up not to do that for a lot of instances, yelling at people from suites, throwing drinks on people. I mean, my God. So owners need to step aside and let the football people handle the football.
Yeah, and it's important. Not everybody can be Jerry Jones and be as hands-on, and even that hasn't totally worked out. He's
since the 90s,
Yeah.
for 30 years.
And he that's a little different. He has built America's biggest brand in terms of a professional team. It's a little different with the amount of power that he has instilled over many years of time. The Panthers are in free fall. And you can't open up a full parachute. You don't have one. But if you have a couple parachutes here and there to break your fall, I think that's sort of the route that the Panthers are going, because Canales' job is relatively, I would assume, is unless there's something off field that comes up, it's at least safe for this year.
Yeah. I mean, 2 years.
So that is, at the very least, he's thinking not just, I need to survive this year. You got to assume that.
They just, and Colin, they're fresh off of firing Frank Reich after 8 games.
Yeah.
So
and Reich with Rule, and even Rule, they got into desperation mode, and you could tell, and some of their moves reflected that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Canales is thinking like that. So at the very least, you got to think he has a plan. And the plan can't just be Andy Dalton, and we're going to
I think the plan is
leave Bryce Young in the backyard.
Kyle, they have their first-round pick this year. I think the plan is to go forward with Dalton, lose games, get a high draft pick, and try this thing again. I feel bad for Bryce Young.
I don't think they owe him too much money. They owe him too much money.
But you know how cutthroat this is, man. They'll trade him for a 4th-round pick, just like how the Niners. Say what you want about the Niners and the Trey Lance situation. Yeah, was it bad to take that guy that early and get rid of him that early and have a Mr. Irrelevant replace him? Probably. But fair play for the Niners for going, hey, man, we made a mistake. We're moving on. Best of luck to Trey Lance. That's what I think is going to happen here. I think they're going to get rid of Bryce Young. If it's at the end of the year, at the deadline, maybe someone thinks they could fix him.
I don't think Canales has forgotten his plan of trying to make it work. I don't think 2 games gives him enough to say that I'm done with this kid. That tells me that he has a plan.
What he said didn't make me feel like, oh, Bryce will be fine in Carolina. I think that sounded like they were ready to move on.
Maybe he's challenging him. And I don't think he could do 2 games to decide that. Nonetheless, this has been Monday's iteration of Russo and Rizzo here. Appreciate Damian Perez helping us out behind the glass as always. Is CCAT coming back tomorrow?
I hope not.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ben Linus has him for a couple more days on the island.
a couple more days. That was Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo here. Russo and Rizzo sending you off into Tuesday. We'll be on a remote tomorrow out in Wellington. Palm Beach Autographs. Hopefully we'll get somebody on from the Dolphins. Probably not. But I'll hope. Nonetheless, it's been a fun one. Week 1 of the NFL. We didn't even get to it. Monday Night Football tonight. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay focused. Have a great rest of your Monday.